UConn trying to bounce back from a bad loss. Call it what it is at Seton Hall. From what I'm told, apparently conference road games are a big deal, big issue across the sport of college basketball, but especially in the Big East, and especially for a UConn program that just like constantly loses their conference opener. Well, the good news for them, this is not their conference opener. This is now their second game in conference. They get to play Rick Pitino, Rickety P, at home, back in Storrs. Although Donovan Clingan, serious injury concerns. So we can kind of put to bed the is Donovan Clingan hurt thing. Yeah, he's hurt. And no, that's not a good thing for UConn.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good thing for UConn, especially with the outlook of St. John's team. Like Joel Soriano is one of the better bigs in the Big East. And I feel like he doesn't get mentioned as much as the other ones, but he's extremely productive. He's powerful. He's a load to stop, and he can really put a lot of pressure on the other teams. And as the residential St. John's doubter of the Sleepers Media podcast, I must say that I've actually been, semi like impressed, I guess, put that in quotation marks, with St. John's. I do think they have guys. I think they always had guys. It's just like, is Rick Pitino going to get them playing good basketball? So I think they're coming off a pretty big home win against Xavier, which, like we've seen in the Big East, it is easy to falter in that first game in the Big East. St. John's wasn't one of those teams, so credit to them for getting the win. But I think if UConn is as good as we all think, and I think they are a good basketball team, they bounce back at home even without Clingan.
I think they have more than enough talent to do that. Here's where things get tricky for me. Does St. John's have talent?
Yes, I think they got some guys.
They've got good players, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not a question. Does St. John's have talent? Like they definitely have talent. Soriano can hoop, Dingle can hoop. They got a lot of dudes who can hoop, including certain former UConn Husky Cart that's making his return to Storrs in this game. He has a national championship ring, but Naheem Aline is back. Let's not forget about that. This could be interesting. Naheem Aline had his season high 15 points in 33 minutes against Xavier. I think he could have a moment in this game. You've made a lot of jabs at Rick Pitino in the last year. You have called him quote unquote washed. You have said you believe he's no longer the coach he used to be. He's not a threat. All of these various things. Did that win, the comfortable win, the decisive win, the blowout win over Sean Miller do anything for you?
It did do a little bit, yeah, actually.
Because I have a Rick Pitino theory that I want to run. I think you might be right in general that like Ricky P doesn't have it to do 32 games a year anymore. I don't think that's a thing from Ricky P, right? He did that. He did that his whole career, right? And he won national championships and he bought the strippers. Everything was great. Now, he's only got it for a select few games a year, but he has get up games circled on his schedule card. Because what I've seen from Ricky P this year is, yeah, okay, we're playing Dayton. I don't even know who's coaching Dayton, whatever. We're playing Michigan, Juwan Howard, boo-hoo, who cares?
Respect Earl Grant on this podcast.
We don't care, we don't care about Earl Grant. We don't care about Juwan Howard. If we're Rick Pitino, not saying for us, we care about those guys, but if we're Rick Pitino, we don't care about those guys. You know who we care about if we're Rick Pitino? We care about Sean Miller, the other infamous cheater in this sport. You know what? I get Sean Miller across from me. I'm Rick Pitino. You bet your ass I'm showing up. Jordan Dingle's having a game, okay? You know who else we care about? We care about Danny Hurley. We care about the defending national champions. We care about one of the cockiest guys in this position who thinks he runs the Big East and says he wants more national championships. Okay, there are games that Ricky P has circled, and you cannot look me in the camera and tell me Ricky P is not still one of the most dangerous men in this sport, if not the most dangerous man in this sport when it comes down to it.
He's not the most dangerous man in the sport when it comes down to it.
He's one of.
Is he?
Yes.
In 2023?
Yeah.
Now you're losing me. Now you're losing me a little
That
bit.
win over Sean Miller was nothing to you.
I mean, Xavier lost to Oakland. Xavier # not good.
UConn just lost to Seton Hall. Seton Hall not good.
I could see it. I guess, I mean, Do I still think Rick Pitino's chasing that farewell tour? Yeah. Is he a guy who gets up for big games? I'll give you that. Not getting fully there if you're going to refer to him as Ricky P, though. Can we let that be known?
Rick the Slick.
I mean, I just don't, I don't know. In Storrs, you think that he has the ability to knock off UConn to bring them to 0-2 in the Big East? Because
It's
I think you're forgetting something here. For everything good you just said about Ricky P, Big Hers on the other sideline. Big Hurley. You think he's gonna let his team go 0-2?
Big Her.
Big Her. You think he's gonna let his team go 0-2 in the Big East?
Actually, I do
In
because
this economy?
Cart, what month is it?
December.
Do you know what Dan Hurley's team did starting December 31st last year?
What did they do?
In Big East play, of course, in Big East play. They lost 5 of 6 games in conference play. They lost 6 of 8 games in conference play. Over an entire month, this team that was supposedly the best team in college basketball, it should have been obvious to all of us that a 4 seed was going to win a national championship, stunk. They stunk in Big East play for half of Big East play last season. And then they turned it around and were really good because UConn's really good. Like, I'm not doubting the talent on this team. I'm not doubting this team whatsoever when Donovan Clingan plays. I don't know if Donovan Clingan's playing this game, right? We don't know. And if he does play, he's going to be hobbled, right? Like, that's a given at this point. And UConn is a totally different team. This isn't last year where if Sanogo stubs his toe, you have a footer that can come in and block 7 shots in 20 minutes. And that's no disrespect to Samson Johnson, who I think has been pretty good. Man got exposed against Seton Hall, okay? Man got the spotlights on you. We all have flashlights pointed on Samson, and Kadari Richmond looked like an NBA All-Star because there was nothing. There was nothing there. So, no, I think this team has a little bit of identity questions right now. Yes, they have a winning pedigree. Yes, they have talent everywhere. But they're built around Clingan. And if Clingan's not good or if Clingan's not there, I don't think this team is nearly the threat that they're supposed to be. And yeah, I think that's a team that talent-wise St. John's can kind of stack up with. Like, Soriano will be the best big in this game if Clingan is not playing. Jordan Dingle is not too far behind everyone else on UConn's roster that's not Tristan Newton in terms of talent. Like, he can hang in this game. Naheem Aline is an important player. He's going to have a moment in this game. I'm in, man. I'm in. I don't know if it means St. John's is going to win the game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if St. John's wins the game. But Ken Pom has them as 13-point underdogs on the road in Storrs against UConn. I'm taking the points for sure for St. John's.
13's a lot.
It's a lot of points.
13 is a lot of points. But are we just I mean, I guess we are because you explained this to me with Ricky P and getting up for big games. We're completely throwing away what we've seen from St. John's so far. They got dog walked by a bad Michigan team.
They beat a really good Utah team
On the last day of a tournament.
I would say the only
after no showing all games before that, by the way.
Yeah. The only truly bad moment for St. John's this season was the Michigan blowout, in my opinion.
Okay.
Which, by the way, was did you see Doug that game?
Yeah, There's a pretty good point guard on UConn too.
Yeah.
UConn by 15 in Storrs. Come on.
All right. I think it's a 7-point UConn win.
You think it's UConn win?
Yeah, UConn wins.
So Ricky Pete getting up and pulling the coach version of Fletcher Lawyer, I'm just going to show up for big games, is keeping it within 10?
I think it's a tie game with a minute left. And that's Ricky P having a moment. And then big 3-ball from Tristan Newton, miss, foul, 2 shots, Ricky P technical to push it to 7.
Okay. Ricky P.
Yeah, what's wrong with Ricky P? I can't believe you're out on Rick.
He just gives me a lot of Tracy McGrady on the Hawks vibes.
You love coaches that hire strippers.
What info do you have to back up that point?
I feel like that's right up your alley.
I resent that.
You want a devious coach.
I want a devious coach, but I also want a coach that respects women.
Oh, okay. Fair.
And I guess he did, and I guess he did respect them by giving them work, but I don't know if he did or not. If he can admit that he did respect them, then I might be back in.
All right, we'll flesh this out throughout the rest of the season. It should be a fun game. Not sure if we'll have a recap of this or not. Depends on Christmas festivities, but I can promise you if St. John's wins, we'll have a recap. If UConn wins, we'll talk about it next week.
Merry Christmas.